Welcome back, of course, it's still Daybreak Africa, and if you just join us, of course, we are also shooting from our own the studio, the Sunshine State of the Nation. I am Micheal Obagiri. Today we have a very topical discussion before us, which is the 2024 Renewed Hope Budget, which was presented to the House of Senate by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And to do justice to this topic with us is our favorite analyst in the House, a public affairs analyst, the person of Akinsile Akinniran. A very good morning to you.
Good morning. You're looking great.
You're looking radiant also.
Thank you. Good to see you guys today.
Same here.
Same here.
Well, getting down to business, I'm very sure you are acquainted with the situation on ground concerning the 2024 budget that was presented by the President of about 27.5 trillion naira. As you know, comparing it with the previous one, which was 26 trillion naira. So what is your reaction, or what was your reaction to the presentation?
Thank you very much. Even the toddlers in town now can even say one or two things about the 2024 proposed budget. And so if I say I'm not aware, that means maybe I'm out of the country or I don't really know what is happening in Nigeria for today. Be it as it may, Nigeria, I want to give it to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for being proactive. By December, our budget has been ready and has been able to present it to the House even before December. That's a good one. But we are more interested in the content of the budget. What is really up to? And from my own angle, I was able to see it from three perspectives. One, I studied the recurrent expenditures. I tried to see the capital projects that will likely come up and how much we are likely to use to service our debts. And above all, what's our total revenue for the year in view. So put all these things together, I want to say they have done a well done job. I mean paperwork. And they have done well in the paper presentation. But let us look at the content and the possibility of achieving it. That is where the problem is. And when I looked at it, I saw 36.1% as our recurrent expenditure for the year. And I also saw that it was 31.6% to be of capital project. Amazingly, we are going to spend 30% of our total budget for the year to service debt. And going into this, I noticed that it's just 10% of the total debts we're having, because our debt is over 87 billion, trillion rather, and we are likely to spend about 8 trillion plus, 8.25 trillion to service it. So that means we are trying to service about 10% of the debts on ground. Put all this together. When we are talking about 36.1% for recurrent expenditure, let us ask ourselves, who is getting this money? Put together, you will agree with me that the politicians, or let me say the public office holders, will get higher portion of this money we are talking about, and others will still go home empty-handed. And put these things together, you will know that they called it renewed hope. I don't want to give it my own name. We are yet to get to anywhere. That's my submission for now.
All right. Looking at the budget and what the President presented to the House, the President said the proposed budget prioritizes human capital development and with particular attention given to children, as he also emphasized that they are the building block for the generations to come. Which I will agree with him on that. He also made mention of accountability. Now brings me to my question. In previous administration, we've seen a lot of budget, we've seen a lot of done and don't do in the whole thing, the execution of the budget and how it was carried out. I want to believe accountability has been eluding us. If that is the situation, do we still really believe that this renewed hope budget is going to give a room for accountability?
You have just asked two questions. You said you give it to him because he said it's going to be on human capital or all these investment or investment and the likes. If I will ask you as well, that what is the percentage accrued for these people? Less than 2%. And you said it's going to emphasize. Before you emphasize, it must be reasonable. It must take a kind of higher percentage of what you are talking about. So is 2% relevant to 100%? Don't forget, as far as 2024 budget is concerned, 30%, which happened to be the highest, has gone for debt servicing. And about 12% has gone for security, which we need. We don't need to argue that, because it's when we are secured, other things can follow. So giving 12% to our security and defense is not too bad. But telling me that emphasis will be laid on the capital and women development.
He said so.
He said so, and you are trying to corroborate it.
No, for
by
him
saying,
to have even believed.
No, it is your. I want to work with your own view now.
I said for him to have even highlighted that human capital and children are the building blocks, I give that to him.
You give it to him at what percentage is given
because
to them?
he even
what is the percentage given to them? That's the question. When you are saying you want to emphasize, that means you want to make a kind of concern and let me say optimal concern about that particular thing, and you only have about less than 2% of your budget on that. What is the relevance of that to your claim? So I don't want, you gave it to him and I'm not, because I've not seen it happening. And let's put that one aside. The question now is this renewed hope budget. We knew where we are in Nigeria as of today, and even in the last 12 months, it has not been as easy as we think. And the last, let's say from June till today, is another ball game entirely in Nigeria. Things have gone from the anyway, we were at the bed. Later we got to the worst. I don't want to say we are now at the worst level. It has come to a stage whereby an average Nigerian cannot go to bed with 3 square meals. We are now at the stage. And if you say I'm wrong, go out and make your verification. I'll confirm it. You will know that an average Nigerian cannot go to bed with 3 square meals anymore. It has been, well, let me say, we have been applying arithmetic to it. 010 or 011, whichever way, it must not be 3. If you want to eat the following day, you must keep 1. That is the situation now. I don't want to use my personal experience anyway. But where I'm going to is this budget of 2024, if it's going to really mean well for Nigerians, there are some things I was expecting him to put into it which I have not seen. And that is how you are, an average Nigerian will go to bed and say, God bless Nigeria. Not the paperwork, not the calculations we are seeing everywhere, but the possibility that Nigerians will say, God bless you at the end of every day from January 1st. That's what I'm talking about. But is it likely to manifest in the budget? The answer is no. I have looked into it. I looked critically. I was trying to meander and see what is likely to be the end result. I am seeing what we are experiencing in 2023 come 2024. Time is the difference. You confirm what I'm saying, whether I'm right or wrong.
But you said something earlier that looking at the budget, they have done a very good work when it comes to the paperwork.
Yes, I said, and I've still repeating.
I want to believe that for 2 individuals that are studying an article, there might be 2 different understandings to it. Now, you've really given a very good narrative of you studying and looking into the budget, and you believe it's a failure before arrival.
On arrival.
Now, if other persons look at it, they might also feel like it's going to be a success.
By the paperwork.
By the paperwork, because it has not been carried out. So it's still more of the hypothesis on ground right now. So if you say it's failure, can you really give me the indices that you've used to judge this budget that is going to be a failure on arrival?
Thank you very much. As of today, Nigeria is in the level of economic comatose. And if you want to change the narrative, you must put the masses into consideration. Take for instance now, like I said, he mentioned, like I want to use the word recurrent, who is likely to get this money? How is this money likely to get to an average Nigerian? Is there coming out with social security? Who is going to benefit from what he has done as at now? When 25,000 or 30,000 has been given to some people randomly, we cannot even know or confirm who that have benefited. And what is the yardstick of giving them such money? That has been on ground as at now. So what is the possibility that come next year? And again, when you said you want to reduce poverty, and you just add about 700 billion naira, take 700 billion naira out of 27.5 trillion. What is the percentage that you want to reduce poverty? and don't forget Nigeria population is increasing geometrically. Not arithmetically now, geometrically. We cannot ascertain because we have not done our census, but we know we are over 200 million. There one GD, I watched him on TV. He was doing the calculation that this present budget is like giving 350 naira to a Nigerian by his calculation. That is to say 3 eggs. When you give egg in the morning, egg in the afternoon, egg at night. So look, imagine what can that do for every Nigerian as of today if you are going to eat an egg in the morning, in the afternoon, and at night. Two things are involved. Your class of food is incomplete. You cannot be sustained. And there is tendency that hunger may likely kill the person before time. So by his own calculation. Now by my own calculation, if what he said was right, that we are taking, Nigeria is going on with 350 naira per day, be with that budget. So what is the possibility that average Nigeria will not still go to bed by in hunger? What is the possibility? It's as good as zero, because we have not seen, because there is a yardstick to measure economic stability. Once that one is not there, every other result will still go back to where it comes from, and that is what we have not addressed. Nigerians are having problem of fuel today. That's our major problem. Since it has gone up, we have not been able to get everything right. What is it likely to do to remedy it? That if this fuel is going up again or is going to remain at that level, what are the yardstick so that an average Nigerian can balance it? What is likely to be the balance level? So it's like you have a company, you employ some people to be working in your company, and all of a sudden something happened. There's inflation, things go up. Your profit was not going up again, and they are a kind of demand from your workers. How do you balance it? Certainly, it is on your products. What you produce will determine what your workers may likely get and what your profit may likely be. That is what I'm expecting Nigerians to do. We need to be practical now. No longer paperwork. That let's put this thing on the table. If we do this way, what is likely to be a result? If we do this way, what is likely to be a result? I need practical application, not the paperwork anymore. That is my area of interest.
All right. I also understand that the infrastructure and security was captured in the budget that was proposed to the Senate. Also, you gave kudos to the president that the 12% is good when you talk about security. Now, one of the major reasons why we have not had foreign investors coming to the country, security is one of them, because I don't want to come into a country where I feel like my goods and services are not being secured. We have also the situation of power that is also on paper that is not really going on for us well. So now, the president said one of the ways things he's looking into is, especially is looking at the security level to be heightened and everything to go fine, so that private investors can come into the company, which will also help with employment rate and the rest and development of the country. Do you see this materializing in the span of 2-3 years?
Thank you very much for the brilliant question. Like I said earlier, and I will still repeat, this time around, we don't need paperwork. We only need to be practical. We need to be proactive. And if what is said is likely to work, by the first half of next year, we should be able to conclude that this budget proposal is giving us a prospect of materializing. And there's nothing I like about the budget I have not mentioned, and I quickly say that. He said it's the beginning of the transformation we needed in Nigeria. If it's going to be the beginning of the transformation we needed in Nigeria, something must propel it. Something must make it active. Once that thing is not there, it's as good as if we are not helping ourselves. Going back to your question, that what is the prospect that in another 2 or 3 years that it may likely give us what we want? It is the difference between your question and my answer is time. Time will tell us whether it's going to work or not. But from my own angle, I have not seen the possibility or the workability. And I will tell you why I am not seeing it, because it will only affect a certain set of people in Nigeria, not every individual, or let me say a larger portion of Nigerians. It's not likely to affect us. It may likely affect, let me call it the high and the middle class. Anyway, we don't have middle class as of today.
Just the highlight.
Yes, let me say the highlight. And what is the percentage of the highlights in Nigeria today? Less than 10%. So what is the hope, but what is the fate of the remaining 90%? That is where my problem is. And I want to pray, because we are in the era of prayer now. If you go to Nigeria now, you see all churches and mosques pray. But there are occasions whereby we need action rather than this prayer we are talking about. But let us hope that our prayer will activate the action we are talking about, so that we can get to the next level in Nigeria. But for now, there are some things government needs to put into consideration, so that Nigerians can see the possibility. Let's use the refinery as a case study. When we came up, I said by December, all our refineries will be working. Today now we had 2024. Some said April 2024. Some said December 2024. And what is the possibility that will not be further extension to the dates we are mentioning? That's number one. Number two, like I said earlier, that this fuel is the yardstick that surrounds every other thing in Nigeria as of today. What is the possibility that the price will not go up? Present in Nigeria today now, Nigeria is now experiencing a Mayfile second phase, whereby there's no cash. What is government doing to arrest these situations? And what is the possibility that it will not extend beyond January, February, if possible like March, the way we had it in last year? These are the things, the areas our government should be able to look into. Little problems that can aggravate, that can trigger, or that can cause anything should be, taken care of before it is being escalated. And many more like that in our society.
Anyways, going down to the educational sector and also the health sector, we could see that at 7.9% of the budget was allocated to it, which was 2.18 trillion naira, while the health sector had 5% of the budget allocated, and which was 1.33 trillion naira. Would you say this amount of money would be able to, accommodate the whole situation, the whole challenges facing those sectors? Because I could say those are some of the sectors that are actually facing serious challenges. When it comes to the health sectors, they are currently complaining about shortage of staffs and many people going out of the country, and also lack of facilities in the hospitals. And also we have the educational sectors as well. We have shortages of lecturers. We also have lack of experimental items in the schools, labs. And now they're talking about autonomy for these universities as well, which is we're already even seeing some of the institutions increasing the tuition of fees. So do you think this budget will be able to help some of those challenges in those sectors?
Thank you very much. In the area of education, let me start with that. As it is being mentioned that 7.9%, that's about 8% of the budget going to that. It looks a bit small in percentage, but when you check the money involved, it is huge. If the money will be used judiciously, at least 65% of the problems in our education sector will be solved if it is judicially spent. That is that. But I still want to give it to him. The money involved was high, and the way I itemized it, the one that we go to TED fund, the recurrent, and the rest, going to that, you will know it's higher than what we really experienced as at last this 2023 budget. So I still want to give it to him that I hope it will work as he has said it. That's about that. Going to a health sector, as of today, I was expecting about 15% of our budget to go into health. We have health challenges, and don't forget that the present situation in Nigeria has increased our health deficiency in a tremendous or unbelievable margin. People are now having health challenges. And if our economic situation cannot help us, our health sector should be able to be our option to solve it. As of today, I stand to be corrected. Those that are having BP has increased with about 40% in Nigeria. And what is the reason for BP? economic situation takes larger portion. The people that have we call it what they are these I don't want to health challenges and that are terminal sickness or diseases, they are now at increase too. Why? Because of what consumes in Nigeria. Our health sector should be able to be there to save our health when these challenges come. So I was expecting us, Nigerians, to spend more on the health sector. But lo and behold, I think it's about 5%. It's not too, but when I look at the money involved in trillions, it sounds huge. But
now, bearing in mind that some of these doctors as well are still underpaid.
And yes, they're underpaid, and that's why we always have a japa issue in Nigeria now.
Yes.
Even I saw a 3-year-old boy now. I think it was on social media. I said, I want to travel abroad. What did he know they do in abroad? When a 3-year-old boy said he wanted to travel abroad because he saw people doing it. And I think the U.S. government said that about 150,000 had been interviewed in their embassy. That 30,000 of them are students. People are moving out of Nigeria every day, not because Nigeria is not good, but because our economic situation cannot sustain the country as a whole. So that's why people travel abroad to look for ends meet. And going back to that health situation, if truly our Nigerian government mean well for us, they don't need not only to increase the percentage or the amount needed in the health sector, but they must make it practical. Things that are needed to be done. And like I said, I want to digress a bit. That this present government, I have seen it to be more of capitalism. So where more money will always come in. How the money is being spent should not be the business of people that are paying the money, but the money must come. And I am not surprised that out of this 27.5 trillion we are talking about, the government only prepared to raise 18 trillion out of it, and we still have 9.15 deficit, 9.5 trillion deficit. Where do we get that from? I am too sure we are going to borrow. And don't forget that as at June this year, I think as a second quarter of this year, the whole money we borrowed in Nigeria was 47 or 48 trillion naira. Today we are talking of 87. So that means the remaining about 38 trillion came in the last 4 or 5 months. Then the question is, what have we used this money for? Can we state or can we see what this money has been used for? And I was able to study our economic rate and budget rate in the last 10 years. I discovered the highest of them was 3% success. When you try to do something and the only success you can record in economic growth is 3%, it's ridiculous as a country. I cannot just imagine it. Even this present this 2024 budget, the government has emphasized that the least the growth they may likely see is 3.6%. Is it not still ridiculous? When every nation is moving at a geometric level, some nations are still crawling. We are snoring, like that one someone call it snoring giants. We are snoring before we were sleeping. Now we are snoring. I pray we not from there go to the world beyond, because we are not active. We are not ready to be practical in our dealings. That's why we see people buying things that are of no use for the country. I can't just imagine when our Micheal or senators going on with 140 or 160 trillion, 160 million naira worth of a car. Of what relevance to our economy? Don't forget this money has gone out. It's not coming to Nigeria. We went to buy it outside. So of what relevance, of what value is this money to Nigeria economy? Even these so-called vehicles they went to buy, I'm sure not Nigerian mechanics that will repair it if at all it's having a problem. Don't forget that this same vehicle they went to buy will still consume the fuel of Nigeria at the expense of the masses, because they will only take the money from as usual. So put all these things together, you will agree with me that we are not prepared for governance. We still want to make business as usual. And until we have to say, no, we need to change the narrative. Let us change the narrative. It is then we begin to see the change. And the change begins with me and you.
All right, well said. Though you said we are not prepared for governance, but of course it's more of like business as usual.
As usual.
But I want to believe that even governance is business because it's just the way it's being handled that really matters. Now let's come back to the way it is. We have
Point of correction, you say government is business.
Yes, it's business.
To me, government is service.
It's service, but it's business because
You call it business, I call it service.
You take phone.
I don't want. Let's
You
another
take
day.
phone that you still use it. You of course you want to make profit. So it's business. It's just the way it's being run that might be wrong. Now let's come back to how it is. We have petroleum. We have the petroleum industry. We also have agriculture as really being our main building block of our economic stability so far for a very long time. But now, looking at our small and medium scale businesses in this country, they have not really been doing well. Now, we now have the issue of the fuel subsidy removal, which has really crippled most of those businesses. Looking at them, they can't even function because we have epileptic power supply. So most of them have to function on fuel, on diesels, and at the end of the day, they can't even afford these things. Looking at this budget, the president also said he's going to be giving out some amounts for grants, for loans, and the rest. But do you really think the president, or let's say the budget that has been proposed, and also our administration so far, and the one we have this time, really encompass or capture small-scale businesses to a time that they can help the company economy to grow?
Oh, thank you very much for that. I really love that. And I will quickly start with something. Don't forget that the present administration said they were not, I don't want to use the language used, but I want to use my own language. I say they were not happy with the past administration because of anomalies that happened during that period. Don't forget that the immediate CBN governor is still in custody as a result of corruption. But the funniest is that what you accuse A of, B is not doing it. So we should not allow pot to call kettle black. That's by the way. Now going to your question. As of today, every small and medium scale business has paralyzed because there is no way they can sustain it. The let me call it the purchasing power has overpowered the buying power has overpowered the selling power. So it cannot be balanced anymore. Take for instance, if I want to buy my fuel with 1,000 naira, I will buy 6 liters as at June. Today, with my 1,000 naira, I cannot buy 2 liters. And that is how it affects every sector. So that's why I really love some of them. They quickly pack up before the economy push them to do so. So the little they have, they were using it to sustain themselves. And if the government of the wants to say we want to revive small, medium scale industry, they still need to do more. And I am happy they have prepared for the inflation rate that may likely happen come next year. I want to see that percentage the quote as infinitesimal to what may likely happen. And let me tell you this: if peradventure this economic situation is not arrested, I can assure you, come next year, things will be higher in purchase than what is expected now, or than what we are experiencing now. And by so doing, it may likely push many of us to the point of not being able to buy anything anymore. Don't forget that people that are using cars have reduced drastically, and people that are now using bike have increased. A time will come, these bike people will still reduce, and the result of what they were doing in Borno State by going for bicycle. So, and thank God, is even another means of exercising when we begin to do cycling. Maybe that's all of us will resolve to later. But be it as it may, the Nigerian government is now coming up with a kind of alternatives to sustain these things, which I think may not likely work. That is CNG of a thing. Do you want to tell me that a man that is hungry, that cannot afford 1,000 naira for transportation, will still want to go and board any bus? That's by the way. So, and don't forget that people that are at the level of small and medium scale enterprises are now at the highest. And if they cannot sustain their business, there's nothing they could do than to collapse it. And let me now go to my area of interest. that in the present budget, what is the percentage prepare for these SMEs? What is the percentage? Is it likely to meet up with their needs? If it meets up with their need, can they sustain it? If the answer is no, then what is the way out? And that is where we still need the practical sense of attending to issues, not the paperwork. And to me, I have not seen anything government is likely to do to arrest the situation, because there must be a balance. And once the balance is not there, nothing can be done.
Anyways, going next to another angle, which has to do with cost of governance. Recently, at about 1,411 delegates were taken by the president for the COP28 summit. And this has caused a lot of uproar. We are here discussing the challenges that Nigeria economy worldwide, well, nationally, is facing. And we're seeing at about over 1,000 delegates being taken out. This caused so many uproar, and then people got questioning if actually these people were sponsored by the government. Although there was a response from the government saying they sponsored over 400 of them out for this summit. And funny enough, we matched up with one of the largest economy in the world, which is China. Yes, the same digits. So what would you say about the issue of cost governance in Nigeria? Because we are seeing it now to want to compete with some of the things that are supposed to be taken as priority for governing the people.
Oh, it's rather unfortunate. It has been so from day one. We thought the present administration would take a kind of exemption from such, but it's rather unfortunate that they are even doing something worse than what we think the past administrations have been doing. Like I said earlier, getting a 140 million, 160 million of vehicle for our legislators is challenging. Come to terms with our economic situation as at now. Now, taking about 1,400 plus, or let us assume the one they claimed, 400 plus, for as delegates to Dubai, is insulting. It's unheard of. They should even cover their hands with shame. That no, are we sure we did this? They should blame themselves for that, because this present situation in Nigeria did not give room for such. Let us assume this money spent on over 400 as they claimed is set aside for another economic program. I can assure it will still be meaningful in Nigeria. And not only that, there are some other things they were doing. I wouldn't know whether you will still ask, but I want to tell you that it has also been stated that they want to build another house for the vice president. And
exactly, I was still going
that's
there.
About,
I wanted 15 billion naira. Looking at the 15 billion that has been, let me say, Senator Yosun Wike, demanding for a befitting house for the vice president. Now, on paper, as you have always said, the money is even higher than what is being allocated for education in Nigeria at this point. Now, this brings us to the question of accountability, because it has been a situation of they do it and nothing is going to happen. Is there a way we can really hold these people accountable, apart from the media that will just talk about it, and at the end of the day, nothing is really happening?
Before we even talk about the accountability, let me give you an instance. The Legislative House, I think it's the Prime Minister and Vice President, Prime Minister of the UK. The house is using today has been built over 300 years ago. Over 300 years ago, and there was nothing added to it. UK and decolonized us. And now, not even the president, not the president villa, the apartment of the vice president wanted to be renovated or rebuilt at a rate of 15 billion naira. That is even one questionable. The number two aspect is the accountability. In the first place, we don't need to think about accountability. It's not even they should not even bring it up at all. It's not needed. What happened to the old one we are using? Is it dilapidated, or is there any rain that fall and destroy anything in that place that we cannot renovate? They're now talking about accountability. Is as good as if we are encouraging them to do the evil we never wanted.
Because why I made mention of accountability, you said something like they should cover their faces in shame. Now, I want to understand place of being responsible and being reasonable when you are presenting a budget or whatever it is that you know it involves taxpayers' money. you should be reasonable. So for you to have even come out to even say this, that brings us to us thinking about accountability. For you to have even conceived this kind of plan to say it out, definitely you are supposed to have, you must have been doing something in the shade that we don't even know with the public taxpayers' money. That's why I said accountability is the thing that we really need to look into at this point.
You see, I will in the area of accountability, I will still say one thing that people don't know. To every act you make or you do, there is always a karma. A karma will always work on them. I remember I read a place in the Bible that said, maybe over 400 years, they said there was a king that came up that did not know Joseph. So also, a time will come, a king will rule in Nigeria that will change the narrative. And we will all praise him for that. These people, the evil they are doing, they are perpetrating on daily basis because they are in power and nobody can challenge them. A time will come, God will change the situation. That's why I love prayers. And I know Nigerians' prayer, apart from that, we are sinners. And when we are in sin, you cannot be asking for grace. But because we are used to prayers, one day God will answer our prayers. And these people, this enemy of progress that always draws back at all times, God will change them for the good. And if they refuse to change, God will replace them. The replacement will now bring the needed result we have. I am not surprised with what is happening today in Nigeria, because some of us have seen it, that if we allow A or B to rule, these are likely things that may happen, and it's manifesting even within 5 months. It's manifesting. That shows that God has given us a foresight, but we only failed to allow the foresight to lead us because of what we want to gain. And we have said it, our local Otikanwa, may the good things of life meet us well.
Well, I'll aim at you. Anyways, looking still at the budget, I want to go a little bit abstract. If you would like to look at it or trace it back to the previous governments that have ruled before now, would you say this might make it a little different or a slight different from what has been presented before now?
The word slight is my concern.
Okay.
Because I have seen what I don't like in the last administration, in this present administration for 5 months.
So it's more like we are still.
It's as good as we are still in the same
Mirroring the same image.
trying to paddle what we never wanted. It's just like someone who went to fish, and you with your canoe, you saw a very big what do you call it, fish, but you never knew it has rotten. You took it inside your vehicle, inside the canoe, and you were paddling with it. As you were paddling, you were perceiving odors, unpalatable ones, the not good ones. What are you supposed to do? The fish is bad already. Throw it out of your canoe and continue fishing, whether you see a good fish. But instead of us to do that, we still keep the old, the rotten fish, and we're expecting it to give us a nice aroma. It's not possible. This is exactly what I'm saying. In the last 80 years, before this administration came on board, Nigerians have been complaining. And we know that what we are complaining of has not changed. And Nigeria needed the genuine change. We didn't get it. And we still allowed that government to continue. What do you expect? So once the government continue, you must be expecting similarity in the past and the present. And that's exactly what is manifesting. And when we are experiencing it now, the next thing we can do is to see what can we do to change the narrative. So many things have happened in Nigeria that we don't need to say it on here. But the truth that we can say is that let us bring this government to their level. Let them know what they are doing that is wrong. If they want to kill us, let them kill us. Those that are remaining will do the job. If they cannot, our spirit will fight. But we need to let them know that what they are doing to us is not pro-Nigerians. It's not in our nature to be starving, to be dealing with ourselves in a unruly, in an unwanted manner, and you are expecting us to say Rankadidi. It will not happen. So this is why I said what I have noticed in the past administration is manifesting in this present administration. And this present administration had condemned the past administration. So if you had condemned something, you shouldn't have been doing it again. Whatever you have condemned shows that it's not good. And the next thing you need to do is to take a new leaf, not doing the same thing. God bless Nigeria.
Amen. Well, God bless Nigeria, as you've said. Thank you for joining us this morning.
It's my pleasure.
It's been a pleasure to have you on the program,
Thank
especially
you.
when he's bringing the pains of Nigeria, really talking
Yes.
about it. Thank you for coming.
Well,
on the
thank you for
program.
coming.
It's my pleasure.
Well, thank you to our viewers as well for staying tuned to Daybreak Africa. And this is where we'll be handing you over to our Lagos station that has a package prepared for you. Till we come your way again, I am Angela Daku.
And I always say stay blessed and productive. God bless Nigeria. My name is Micheal Obagiri.